TV 38 Sports presents Boston Red Sox Baseball. Brought to you in part by Mitsubishi Motors. Experience the sensation of the full line of new cars and trucks from Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi, perfecting the experience. And by Budweiser, the genuine article, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you.
We have a great pregame show for you this afternoon. And I'm pleased to have...
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to opening day from County Stadium in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm Ned Martin, along with Bob Montgomery, the Red Sox up here in good Wisconsin country on a very good day for baseball after an awfully noisy and windy one yesterday, as Bob Stanley will oppose Teddy Higuera. The Red Sox here after a spring training that was one of their most dissembled in a long time. But I think it was all came together when Roger Clemens came back. The team showed character, and the manager too, and I think everybody's feeling very, very good about what they're doing and about their what to do.
I think manager John McNamara was so very pleased with the character that this ball club showed throughout spring training, knowing that the controversies that were going on, things that were possible to happen to them, but yet it did not let them affect them in any way. They went about their duties. They got themselves ready to play baseball in 1987, and he's been very pleased with that. As a matter of fact, John McNamara left my dinner table last night with these words: "We will win again."
Well, you can't make it much more plain than that. We're going to have fun this year, and we're going to have the starting lineups and the opening day game right after this.
Bud Thunder is revved up and coming at you.
The starting lineup for the Red Sox on this opening day, 1987. Wade Boggs at third base, leading off. Marty Barrett at second base. Bill Buckner at first. Jim Rice in left field. Don Baylor, the designated hitter. Dwight Evans in right field. Dave Henderson, the center fielder. Mark Sullivan catching. Spike Owen at shortstop. For the Milwaukee Brewers, with Tom Trebelhorn in his rookie year as manager. Paul Molitor leading off and playing third base. Robin Yount in center field. Glenn Braggs in right field. Greg Brock at first base. Billy Joe Robideau, the designated hitter. Rob Deere in left field. Bill Schroeder, the catcher. Jim Gantner at second base, and Dale Swaim at shortstop. Their umpiring crew has cut one of the umpires that had been named. Incidentally, the umpires did sign their contract with baseball this morning, but Darrell Cousins, who had been operating at third base, is not here, and we are going back to spring training with a 3 umpiring staff on opening day. Jim Evans calling the balls and strikes. Nick Bremigan at first base, and Al Clark at third. But the umpires will work. They're working now. Then they signed their contract with baseball, and that's as big a last-moment thing as you can possibly do. That's Bob Stanley, who is going to be starting a game for the second time in this ballpark in his career. He won his only other start years ago after the Red Sox had dropped 2 in a row, and he and Carlton Fisk decided to pitch very tight to the Milwaukee hitters, and did so and won. Out on the mound for the Brewers, the sterling left-hander Teddy Higuera.
Could be a bright spot for a long time to come in a Milwaukee Brewer uniform. Not much question. He certainly has been one since he's been with this organization. Just 2 years now, starting his 3rd year in the big leagues. 20 wins, only 11 losses last year for the Brewers. Finished second to Roger Clemens in the Cy Young voting. Also second to Roger Clemens in the earned run average in the American League for the leadership in that department. Higuera with a very fine 2.79 earned run average. He's gotten rid of the screwball, and can you believe it? They think that it's going to make him a better pitcher. He didn't throw it an awful lot last year. He just kept getting away from it. He'll be about 88, maybe to 90 on occasion. But his strong suit is the fact that he gets to the 7th inning most of his starts. As he goes along in a ball game, he is the type of pitcher who will get stronger. He wouldn't be surprised on a radar gun to see Higuera be at 87, 88 in the early part of the ball game, and then all of a sudden in the 7th, where he gets to most of the time, he'll still be at 88 and sometimes get it up to 90 at that point in the ball game. A real finisher.
He's a great pace pitcher and a rhythm pitcher, and really came on the scene last year in a hurry. Record against the Red Sox last year was 1-1. He is 1-2 overall. He came up in late '85 and lost to them. We are informed that Darrell Cousins is not here because of an illness in his family. The starting third base umpire not here because of an illness in the Cousins family. So that's why we're operating with 3 this afternoon. Beautiful day. The wind is blowing out toward right center and right. And sometimes center field, a strong contrast to yesterday when it was bitter cold and the gale was blowing through Milwaukee. Wade Boggs is up. And the first pitch of the 1987 season, ball 1, we're underway. Boggs had said, you can bet I'm not going to swing at that first pitch like Evans did last year in Detroit. Well, didn't have to. 55 degrees is the temperature at game time, with a 25-mile-an-hour wind blowing from the north and out toward right center and right field. Count on Boggs, 1 ball and 1 strike. Boggs, the leading hitter in the league last year at .357, starts it right off with that one into right field. A lead single for Wade Boggs. So there you go.
And believe it or not, he pulls the left-hander, which is something that you don't ordinarily see. You don't see Boggs pull that many base hits, period. He didn't take much time. Higuera's breaking ball, which that was there, is more like a slurve. It's not a particularly overpowering type slider, nor is it that real biting type curveball. He'll use it really more of as an effect. And, of course, he does have the straight change to complement both the fastball and the slurve.
Marty Barrett standing in with a .286 mark last season. Most valuable player of the American League Championship Series in the games against the California Angels. Hit 4 home runs last season. Hit 60 RBIs from the number 2 position, a fine number 2 hitter. Elbow problem in the spring, missed 6 or 7 games at a time. But he says he's ready. Down the 3rd, foul. The count on Barrett is 0-2. Sun is out brightly in Milwaukee. No discernible cloud, just a bank of clouds over the city farther out, but nothing bad. And we are blessed with for this type of climate in this section of the country. Very fine weather for opening day. We do remember other times when the weather has been less than perfect here. Snow, blizzard, cold, all kinds of things. It's outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Jim Evans calling the balls and strikes. Nick Bremigan at first. And Al Clark will be the operative between 2nd and 3rd. Boggs at first. Game just underway. Way high to Barrett, making it 2-2. Just for the record, the first home run of the American League season and baseball was hit by Lloyd Mosby of the Toronto Blue Jays, who started their game ahead of Cincinnati. First game this year starting in Canada. Toronto and Cleveland, and Toronto had a 3-2 lead in the 4th inning. Out of play by Barrett. Very exuberant crowd here at County Stadium. They came early. They were lining up here around 9 o'clock for the tailgating, the bratwurst and the beer. And all came filing in and are ready for baseball. The Brewer team, of course, a very young ball club and a conglomerate of new faces. All over from other clubs and also for some rookies and young players. Barrett spoiling the good pitches from Higuera. Count hangs at 2-2 to Marty. 315 feet down each line at County Stadium. 362 farther out in left and right. The deep alleys, 392 in left center and right center. And 402 feet to straightaway center field. Relatively a shallow fence out there. And the ball can jump out of here. And may jump to right field today. 2-2 to Barrett. Breaking pitch popped up. Second baseman Jim Gantner. 1 out. So the duel between Higuera and Barrett is won by the left-hander. And Billy Buckner comes up. Buckner, the first baseman, 267 last year, 18 home runs, 102 runs batted in. A slow start this spring because of the surgery to the ankle following last season. Did end up spring training with a 278 mark, 36 times up, 10 hits. Fastball up and in, and so far Higuera with the fastball has been up. Outfield bunches up a bit on Buckner towards center field. More or less equidistant and straight away. Inside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. Buckner to be followed by Jim Rice. Little pop third base way. Molitor there. And Paul Molitor with a foul ball catch. Another one of the young veterans. Yount and Molitor on this club. So Buckner is out, fouling to third, and there are 2 away with Boggs still at first base. Jim Rice coming in. 324 last season in a very valuable year for Rice and what he contributed to the team at his production with 20 home runs and 110 RBI. One ball, no strikes. Rice hit 234 in the spring. But he had 4 home runs down in the South. And the breaking pitch low and away, 2-0. No score, top of the first at County Stadium. Three balls, no strikes. Rice on the take with a fastball for a strike on the outside corner and driving the count to 3-1. 2 down. Tough pitch right on the outside slice again, away from Rice. And now it's 3-2. Greg Brock backs up at first base now. Boggs with the lead will be off 3-2 with 2 out. Out of play. The outfield is overshifted on Rice. As far as the left and center fielders are concerned, center fielder Robin Yount a couple of steps toward left center. And Rob Deere, the left fielder, a few steps toward the line. Glenn Braggs holding his ground in straightaway right. Shortstop Dale Swaim is deep in the hole. Boggs goes again, and the breaking ball, strike 3. Went 3-0 on Rice, and then Higuera struck him out. 1 hit and 1 left, and after a half inning, Boston nothing, and Milwaukee coming up.
Imagine waking up to find everything just as good as it can be. Imagine having nothing but the best to look forward to.
Skies should be sunny for the rest of the century.
Now imagine the remarkable new Prius, imported by Mitsubishi, with front-wheel drive and independent suspension, and the pure enjoyment of over 60 standard features, all for just over $5,000. The new Prius. Now that it's here, maybe everything else will fall into place. The new Prius, imported by Mitsubishi.
Weeknights at 7 and 11, laughter is always welcome on MASH.
Boy, will you feel dandy. What to wear, what to wear.
Be a trendsetter. Wear the green.
To be a real ice hopper. How dare you wear that hat while in uniform?
It's spring, sir.
That's French.
It was a classic.
I'm wearing a Warner bra. I play with dolls. Oh, my God.
Sounds like you're going to film a beer.
It's full dress humor on MASH. Weeknights at 7 and 11, here on TV 38.
Into the TV 38 home run sweepstakes and get a chance to win a pair of Red Sox tickets. To do so, just send your name, address, and phone number on a postcard to TV 38 home run sweepstakes, Box 500, Boston, Massachusetts, 02135.
Bottom of the first inning, no score in the game, and out on the mound for the Red Sox, a fellow who about a quarter of the way through spring training was informed that he was going to be a 5th starter in this ball club, or maybe a 4th. Here he is, the opening day pitcher, Bob Stanley.
Bobby, of course, making 2 starts now, 1 last year in Kansas City, the back end of a doubleheader. I don't think it would take Bobby long to move back into that sync of being a starter. As a matter of fact, I think he's quite pleased with it. He was pleased certainly with his work during spring training. 6-6 last year as a reliever, except for that 1 start and a 4.37 earned run average. There's no reason for Bobby to be nervous. Actually, he can't be nervous because all of his nervousness has all been used up. It would have been ideal, I think, for Bobby if they had told him about, maybe on the way out here with the bus, that he was starting today.
That's right. He did start here in 1980 and won the last game of a 3-game set after the Brewers had been led by Sisto Lescano. And on the start that Stanley made, you might remember, he decked Sisto the first time up and struck him out 4 times on the rest of the day. Kept him really much at home. Paul Molitor first up, the 3rd baseman. The ingredient, they call him here. Makes things happen on this ball club. Hit .281 last season. Stole 20 bases, had 9 homers. 1 strike to him. Hard hit past 3rd.
One thing that Stanley and Sullivan were certainly aware of, the fact that Molitor, a first ball fastball hitter, Molitor was going for it, but it was a breaking ball.
And it misses. It's a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Tony Muser is coaching at 3rd for the Brewers. Dave Hilton at 1st. And the pitch outside for ball 2. 2-2. No score, bottom of the 1st inning. Molitor bangs it to the gap in right center field. Extra bases to the 392 mark. Molitor has 2, and he'll go for 3, and he will get them. Triple.
the ingredient, as you call him, Ned, is right on. The perfect title for Molitor. He gets to the business end of that breaking ball from Stanley and has it stay right in the middle of the plate. And with Molitor's speed, when he sees that ball get between the outfielders, and especially to the opposite side, he is thinking 3, maybe the first 2 or 3 steps out of the batter's box. He'll have the triple easily. A nice way to start your season.
Way to start right. The ball banged to center by Robin Yount, and it's 1-0 Milwaukee. So two of the 3 or 4 guys who made this club go through the years are at it again as Robin Yount singles home Molitor, a quick Milwaukee lead. That didn't take long. Yount hit .312 last year. Moved from shortstop to center field with the bad shoulder and the problems he had, but still comes up as a leader on this ball club. Here's Glenn Braggs, who in his rookie year hit .237 with 4 homers. Came up highly touted, and after a pretty good start was somewhat of a disappointment for this club, but they think this man can play baseball and hit. He's the right fielder. 1-0 Milwaukee, nobody out. Yount at first. That time has been called, no pitch. Braggs had 3 home runs for the spring training and hit .266. Yount back. Bill Buckner holding against him. The veteran squad starting for the Red Sox, and just about highly known to everybody. The one that finished up the season in the playoffs and series last year, except for Mark Sullivan, of course. Rich Gedman was the catcher then. Ball and no strikes to Braggs.
Really put together. I mean, from top to bottom, a physique a lot that remind you of Dave Winfield. I mean, Braggs maybe a little faster than Winfield.
Robin Yount back at first base again. Stanley working to Glenn Braggs, who is 6'3", weighs 210, and he's from San Bernardino, California, originally. Last year hit .237 for the Brewers in 58 games. Down to second. Barrett. Owen. Double play. So that was Stanley made for the double play, getting him out of further trouble right now for 6-3.
Well, the worst thing that could happen for Bobby, of course, was being quickly scored upon. But the most important thing to have happen to him is for him to bounce right back and to come up with something like this. When you open an inning with a triple, you just kind of have to play that inning that you're going to give that run up anyway. You don't try to, but you try to stay in realistic style of form and keep it to a 1-run inning. Pretty much so. And now that's what Stanley has back running for him.
Well, that's what he has going for him with a guy at first base and with that sinker working. A strike to the next batter, the newcomer Greg Brock, the former Los Angeles Dodger first baseman, traded over here for pitching help for the Dodgers. And Brock is a guy who's been the golden boy on the verge out there. Never quite realized the potential with the Dodgers. Hit .234 last year. I think a lot of pressure was put on him when he came up. A strike. Last season with the Dodgers had 16 home runs. Went to the University of Wyoming in his college days. Tim Leary and Tim Cruz, a couple of pitchers, went over to the Dodgers. Dodgers really wanting Leary. And the Red Sox rather glad that they did, because Leary was a very effective pitcher last year and a month before last year against Boston. Jackknifing away, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Brock, a very strong left-handed hitter. Did a couple of different scouting reports on him.
The palm ball missing high for Stanley, 3-2.
Some reports say that he's a dead low ball hitter, breaking or fast. Other reports I hear, he likes the ball up.
And Stanley walks him. First walk given up by Stanley. Runner at first base, 2 outs and 1 run in. Well, one time Brock was involved in a rumored trade to the Red Sox, remember, when they thought that Fred Lynn was going to the Dodgers. So there's a man at first base and a couple out. And Billy Joe Robideau, who became somewhat of a cult hero around here when he came up. Designated hitter last year, hit .227. And that is going to be stopped by Barrett. The throw to Owen in time. Good play by Marty Barrett, saving another base runner and a runner on first and third situation. Fine play by Barrett with the force out on Brock. And after 1 inning of play, it's Milwaukee 1, the Red Sox nothing.
This is Jeep's all-new 4-liter 6-cylinder engine. It has sequential multi-point electronic fuel injection. It puts out 173 horsepower and 220 foot-pounds of torque. But most important, if you put this new engine in a Jeep Cherokee or a Jeep Comanche, you're going to see more speed and power than you've ever seen from vehicles like this. Just remember where you saw it first.
In the minors, you must have called it all 1,000 times. Then one day, you got the call. What's this, rookie umpire? Here's to you. Beechwood age for that clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
Compliment for that gentleman.
This ball's for you.
But he was moonlighting, dumping toxic wastes.
Next on Quincy. You know, he didn't die in that accident. His death caused it.
Now, if they dumped this stuff alongside the road somewhere, and it rains, it would produce a cloud of gas that could kill hundreds of people.
Well, I paid them to put it here, where it's dry.
Well, they're not going to be dry much longer.
Oh, what if you can't find it before the rain comes?
We got about half the population evacuated. How's it look here?
Still a race. Keep away from those drums. If water hits them, this whole area could go.
Okay. Take a look at that play by Barrett, Monty.
Boy, is it ever a dandy. Once again, Stanley getting the ball on the ground. Robideau hitting the ball fairly sharp up the middle. And here's some strong arm from Barrett. He really, because he had to double clutch, he couldn't get the ball cleanly out of the glove. Really fires a P at Spike Owen, who pretty much becomes a first baseman. And he gets the outfield side of that bag and make the force play and keep Stanley out of possible further trouble in the first inning.
Don Baylor first up. Second inning. Brewers lead 1-0. Baylor, first ball hitting, pops it up right side. Greg Brock at first base. 1 pitch, 1 out to Baylor, who had 31 homers last year. Let's pause for a station break here. This is the TV 38 Red Sox Network.
This is TV 38, WSBK TV, Boston.
Back at County Stadium, and Dwight Evans is up. Right fielder hit .259 last year, 26 home runs, and got that average, the RBIs up to 97 by year's end after a slow start in the first 2 or 3 months of the season. 1 ball, no strikes. He also had his usual slow spring training, hitting .220 down in Florida. One out in the Red Sox second inning. Teddy Higuera working to Evans. 1 ball, 1 strike. There's a shot to left center field. That's going to make the gap. Rolling to the 392 mark for Evans. He has the play in front of him. He'll check in with a double. Second Red Sox hit, a Hard double to left center field by Evans. Evans has always been able to hit in this ballpark.
This is just about the pitch that he took downtown against Jack Morris last year to open the season in Detroit. That high rider that's a bit over the plate for Dwight. It allows him to extend and really drive the ball toward the gap. And the ball, once it hits on a very fast outfield, I might mention to you here, it's very dry, very fast. It quickly gets to that 392-foot mark, and Evans has an easy double.
Red Sox have a runner in scoring position for Dave Henderson. He'll take outside a ball drifting away from him. Henderson last year hit .276 for Seattle and 14 homers before coming to the Red Sox. Played just sporadically for Boston as kind of a late inning caddy for Tony Armas. Hit 196 for Boston, but then shown in the playoffs and the World Series. Had some arthroscopy on the knee in January. Started slowly in spring training, did not get into games for a week or so because of that. He wanted to make sure that everything was all right and that he could run. 1 ball, 1 strike to David. Quite capable of putting a ball out of a lot of ballparks. The bending pitch low and inside. 2 balls, 1 strike. High pop foul. And Bill Schroeder behind the plate with a kind of a staggering back catch with the wind taking it into the fungo hitting circle. But Schroeder, the catcher, hangs on, and Henderson is out. 2 away.
Wow, what a tall one this is. Boy, and is it ever stay in the effect of the wind for a long, long time. That is causing all the dancing being turned in by Schroeder. Boy, he stays right with it. Molitor right beside him. Also, Higuera there to do a little directing.
There is where the wind is. It's blowing now, kind of twisting around from the outfield in toward the left field line. It had been blowing straight to right and really is predominantly a right field wind. First ball cutting is Mark Sullivan, catching and opening a season behind the plate for the first time as a member of the Red Sox. Sullivan with a fine spring training. He did not play much last year. Hit 193 behind Gedman. 1 home run. But this spring down in Florida with a chance to get more innings in, more at bats, Sullivan hit .389 with 2 home runs and 10 RBIs. Broke his toe a little over a week ago, week and a half ago down in Fort Lauderdale. But has them taped together and played the last couple of games of spring training, and he's ready. 0-2 to Mark. Milwaukee won, the Red Sox 0. We're in the top of the 2nd inning at County Stadium on a beautiful baseball day in early April. It's 55. It's not exactly 75, but for here, 55 is fine, thank you. Shows that outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I might mention it was also 55 in Lakeland Saturday afternoon, too.
And a harder 55 than this is.
Surely was.
Like the way it was blowing across that airport strip. There's a fastball for strike 3. 2nd strikeout for Higuera. And that ends the Red Sox inning and has them nothing except a double by Evans, who is left. After an inning and a half, 1-0 Milwaukee.
Once guys try the 24-hour protection of Old Spice Solid, they may give up their usual antiperspirant mid-stick.
Your dad? Only used twice. Very short strokes.
Fact is, none of these solid antiperspirants help stop wetness as well as Old Spice Solid. These deodorant sprays can't block odor better than Old Spice Stick. So switch now.
Sarge, for you. Hardly used.
Kind of like your comb.
Switch to 24-hour Old Spice, antiperspirant or deodorant.
April is truck month. Ram Charger, Dodge. Van, Dodge. Wagon, Dodge. Ram 100, Dodge. Dakota, Dodge. The big Dodge truck pushes on. Every full-size van, wagon, pickup, and Ram Charger with a new 770 protection plan, plus 3.7 financing or up to $1,000 cash back on full-size pickups in stock. And you can still save up to $800 on prospector packages on selected models. Free 7 in cash back, but only for a limited time.
Dodge, setting new standards of performance.
Hi, I'm Wade Boggs, inviting you to come to Fenway Park on opening weekend, Saturday and Sunday, April 11th and 12th, and receive a Red Sox Budweiser calendar. The calendar is filled with Red Sox action photos, plus a 1987 schedule, so you can follow the team at home and on the road. And this will be a great souvenir for the 1987 season. Don't forget, opening weekend, 11th and 12th, Saturday and Sunday, when we take on the Toronto Blue Jays. Make it a date. Get your free, colorful Red Sox Budweiser calendar. See you there.
Tom Trebelhorn, one of the many new managers opening this season in a different spot, came in to finish out the year. Probably the only manager with a .667 mark. He won 6 and lost 3 last September and October.
Well, he's a youngster, too, Ned. He's 39 years old, so he kind of fits in with the whole program as far as the Milwaukee operation is concerned. The last couple of years, they've had the best minor league records in all of baseball, bar none. And, well, he's a school teacher. What else can you say? He's teaching a little different level now, though.
He came in to manage the last part of the season the day after George Bamberger announced his retirement as manager here. The Brewers have Rob Deere, the long ball hitting left fielder, up to lead off the second inning against Bob Stanley. Brewers leading 1-0. 1 ball, no strike to Deere, who had 33 home runs last season with a .232 average. He can put some ounce on the ball and do it a long way.
It was always felt that he could hit a lot of home runs were he given the chance. Last year was the first time that chance came about for him.
And the ball.
When he was with the Giants, he played very little. He worked as a pinch hitter and had only
11 home runs with him is all he had.
Yeah, and very few number at bats. I know you've got the numbers right there in front of you, but the amount of home runs. One year he had 5 home runs and something like 18 or 20 at bats.
24 at bats.
Yeah.
And he, next year he had 162 at bats only. Nubs it down toward the mound, and a throw by Stanley. A good effort, but it's a base hit. Nothing to be done about that by Bob Stanley other than what he did. He made a good effort on it. A lot of spin on the ball, and it just dumped in there like a chip to the green.
Isn't that something? A big man like this, getting 33 home runs last year, starts his season off with that kind of a base hit. But I'll tell you one thing, it will break the ice. It'll take the edge away. Singles hitters like to get that first base hit. They don't care what kind it is. Of course, those home run hitters are looking for that first home run of the year. And you're right, Ned, Stanley could do nothing.
There's a double play ball to short. Owen, Barrett, and they've got the 2. Second double play taken care of by the Red Sox. So there's 2 outs in the second inning as Schroeder hits into a 6-4-3. Bill Schroeder, the catcher in that one.
I think a lot of people over the years have thought that Stanley would be a better starter than reliever because of the ability to bounce right back in an inning. So many times as a reliever, he really needs to keep the ball out of play. As a starter, he can put it in play, and as a result, you turn in some double plays without getting hurt.
The pitch is outside to the veteran Jim Gantner, the second baseman, .274 hitter in 1986. 7 home runs and a fixture around here. Scrappy, tough little ball player. 1 ball, 1 strike. To left field and dropping fast. Base hit. So the 4th hit off Bob Stanley. This one a 2-out single to left by Jim Gantner.
Doesn't really excite you when he plays the game. You don't really turn your head to watch him the second or the third time. But he's so very steady and so consistent at getting the job done, both offensively and defensively. He doesn't try to do anything with a pitch that you really don't want him to do. Took that soft changeup and just plunked it out in the left field.
The number 9 hitter, the shortstop, Dale Swaim, who, when he broke in during last season, made some waves with this ball club. Ended up hitting .246 with 7 home runs. And a strike to him. It spells his name in a curious manner. S-V-E-U-M, pronounced Swaim. Played some third base for the Brewers last year. Fastball outside by Stanley. The count 1 ball, 1 strike.
When he started off in the big leagues last year, he didn't do anything but hit extra base hits. He had triples and home runs, and
he was something. Loops it to right field, dropping fast. That's a base hit. Here comes a throw by Evans to third, cut off by Owen. Runners at the corners with 2 outs. Third hit of the inning. And another looper. There have been a couple of loopers and an infield hit this inning. Not too much.
A double play, of course, the big play in this inning so far for Bob Stanley. 3 hits, and the Brewers have not been able to score as yet. And a good smart play by Owen to cut this ball off to keep that force play in order up the middle. Keep Swaim from making that bid turn and possibly going to second on the throw.
No way that Evans could have gotten Gantner. Was running with 2 out anyway and had third base. So now runners at first and third in the top of the order. Molitor up. Drops a bunt. This was just kind of a surprise bunt effort with runners at first and third. And Molitor's the kind of guy who can do that and also beat it out.
Anticipation plays such a big part in the game. The cutoff play by Owen, a smart one in the reason that Molitor with good speed, you may need that force play at second base to get out of an inning. If he hits the ball in a hole, you wouldn't have much shot at him at first.
Gantner at third and Swaim at first. 1-0 Milwaukee. The Brewers with a threat here. 2 outs in the second inning. Down to short. Spike Owen. And they get the force, which was kept there by Owen by the cutoff earlier. And that's all. They get 3 hits and do not score. After 2 innings, the Brewers lead 1-0.
At Meineke Discount Mufflers,
I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler.
you're not going to pay a lot because Meineke's muffler prices range from $18.93 to $26.95 installed.
Introducing the haves and the have-nots. The haves have flown the Pan Am shuttle and experienced our fast, convenient check-in. The have-nots have not. The haves have enjoyed our courteous, efficient service. The have-nots have not. The haves have been earning miles with us toward free trips to places like Paris, Rome, and Vienna. The have-nots have not. So, there you have it. And there you have not. The Pan Am shuttle. The first choice in shuttles.
Like many before, you came here asking for just one thing.
Sadowski. Shivoski.
A chance.
Pronounced Shivoski.
You're gonna make it. Here comes you. Make America work, and this is for you.
Here's to you. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste
Hey, Sid.
that says Budweiser.
This Bud's for you.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Red Sox and TV 38 and is intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this telecast without the expressed written consent of the Red Sox or TV 38 is prohibited. Other baseball today, they started early up in Toronto, and Toronto started early against Tom Candiotti of Cleveland as they jumped on him for home runs early by Lloyd Mosby and Willie Upshaw. And after 6 innings of play there, Toronto has a 7-2 lead. Candiotti knocked out of there. Doug Jones in for Cleveland. Jimmy Key started for Toronto, and Mark Eichhorn is now pitching in the 7th inning. Maybe Cleveland is doing something. Pat Tabler hit a home run for Cleveland earlier. We're 1-0 here. The Red Sox trailing as they bat in the 3rd inning. And Spike Owen, the number 9 hitter, is up. The switcher turning around to bat right-handed against Higuera. 1 ball, 1 strike to Owen, who hit .246 for Seattle and .183 for Boston last year. Texas won and Baltimore won after 3 at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. Odeby McDowell has homered for Texas. It's a ball to Owen. Charlie Huff, 17-game winner, going for Texas. And Mike Boddicker going for the Orioles. The Yankees have taken a 1-0 lead over the Tigers after 4 at Detroit in their opener. Rasmussen against Morris. Owen takes a breaking ball for a strike, 2-2. Kansas City picked up a run in the bottom of the first at home against the White Sox. Dotson against Danny Jackson. Higuera to Owen. Bounce over the mound near short. Swaim with it. Owen just out. Bang bang play at first base on the stretch by the first baseman Brock to get him.
Well, the way Swaim started after this ball was very good. He was very quick, and then he threw a changeup for some reason to Brock at first, and that allowed this play to become as close as it was. Everything's all great there. And that ball really had some softness to it and a lot of tail on it. Good play by Brock. He didn't set himself too quickly.
Batter now is Wade Boggs, who opened his season and the Red Sox season with a single to right. Milwaukee leading 1-0, out hitting the Red Sox 5-2 already, but the double play has helped, and the ground balls yielded by Stanley. 1 ball, 1 strike to Brock, to Boggs. A little bit high, ball 2. In the National League, Montreal 5, Cincinnati 2 after 3 at Cincinnati. Mitch Webster has homered for the Royals, for the Expos, and Eric Davis has hit a home run for Cincinnati. Swaim at short. His second assist this inning. And Boggs is out. Hard hit ball directly to Dale Swaim. So there's 2 down.
You may give Davis his name about 35 or 40 times this year in that category.
Yeah, that's the first of many, I think.
I think you are pretty well on schedule with that.
Floyd Yeomans going for Montreal in that one. Tom Browning started for the Reds, and Bill Landrum, whom we saw in spring training, is pitching now for Cincinnati. Marty Barrett up, takes a strike. Barrett popped up his first time. San Diego scheduled later at San Francisco. Eric Schau against Mike Krukow. Dodgers play a night game opener at the Dome in Houston. Hershiser against guess who? Mike Scott. Barrett fists a line drive to third, taken by Molitor, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Teddy Higuera. After 2.5, Milwaukee won, and the Red Sox nothing.
For years, life west of 128 was slow and peaceful. Then more people moved in. High tech brought even more growth. Today, life in Metro West is moving faster than ever before, and there's only one way to keep pace with it. The new Middlesex News, a new paper with a new focus, life in Metro West. The new Middlesex News. It's all about you, Metro West.
While some still believe you can't take it with you, those who've driven the new Mitsubishi wagon know just the opposite to be true. Now not only can you take it with you, but you can do so with a remarkable combination of style, spacious comfort, and versatility. The new Mitsubishi wagon, patiently crafted so you can take it all with you. Or better yet, so you can leave it all behind. Mitsubishi.
Weeknights on TV 38 at the stroke of midnight, an hour of horror in the dead of night with Alfred Hitchcock Presents. First at midnight and again at 12:30. Put an end to your day with 60 minutes of murder.
It's poison.
Blackmail. Mystery and foul deeds. Better late than ever. Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Weeknights at 12 and 12:30 here on WSBK TV 38.
Daytime moon in Milwaukee. The Brewers leading the Red Sox 1-0. Bottom of the third inning. Facing Stanley is Robin Yount. First ball hitting, slicing down the line in right, and foul out of the reach of Dwight Evans. Just out of the reach as Evans gave it a good run. So it's a strike to Yount, who singled home the only run of the game in the first inning.
That ball just continued to gain ground on Evans. Every time Evans took one step, that ball was getting 2 steps away from him. That wind helped that ball curl a little bit, and had a lot of spin on it anyway. Usually Evans is, if he has any chance, he stays with that ball as well as any right fielder in the league. And because of his defensive adjustment usually to hitters, he's so sharp at playing them, he's able to make that play. That enables him to make them.
Yount goes for the next pitch and sends it deep to left field. Rice back. Wind holds it up. Jim Rice with a catch. And there's one down. Robin Yount first goes long foul to right and then hits the next pitch high in the air into a crosswind and left. And Rice is able to make the catch.
Rice almost loses his footing as he gets one step out on that warning track. Now the ball really gets caught up in the wind. That's where the footing, a little bit of a slip. But the ball is so high and being held up that easy for Rice to recover.
Bringing to the plate Glenn Braggs. 1 ball, no strikes. Braggs, the right fielder, hit into a 4-6-3 double play his first time up. Chops it to Barrett. Marty, the second baseman, throws Braggs out, and they're 2 down. Greg Brock drew a walk in the first inning. These two clubs making their 4th meeting in this ballpark as an opener, or the Milwaukee portion of the season opening. The Brewers have won 2 of those openers, and the Red Sox 1. Ball 1 to Brock. Two and nothing. And a 2-1 count. Mike Caldwell shut the Red Sox out on April 10th, 1979. And a year later, April 10th, 1980, that's when Lescano hit the grand slam off Dick Drago to win the opener here. Red Sox won one here in 1974 in a wild one, 9-8. That's when these two teams used to do that. Average about 15 to 18 runs a game. 3-1. Hard to Barrett. Marty behind him, but recovers in time. And a 1-2-3 inning for Stanley. Through 3 innings of play now, it's Milwaukee 1, the Red Sox nothing.
It's one thing to say you fight friction. It's another thing to prove it. Kendall Motor Oil did. First, ordinary piston rings were plated with pure gold. Then, a prestigious independent laboratory ran them under stop-and-go driving conditions for 5,000 miles. The results? Look, Kendall protected the soft gold. Now, doesn't that tell you something? Kendall Motor Oil, for protection worth its weight in gold.
Kendall Motor Oil is available at Richdale convenience stores.
Kirk Douglas is the detective who's so obsessed with breaking the case open, it could cause his own breakdown in The Detective. That's tonight at 8 on the Movie Loft, right here on WSBK TV 38.
The 1987 official Red Sox yearbook is now available. The biggest and best ever yearbook celebrates the American League champion Red Sox and the 75th anniversary of Fenway Park. To order by mail, send $5 to Yearbook, Box 1616, Boston, Mass. 02130. Tight little ball game at the end of 3 innings. The Brewers with a run early on the first 2 hitters, a triple by Molitor and a single by Yount. And there's John McNamara in defense of his American League pennant and feeling very good about things right now, about his ball club, as Monty mentioned earlier.
Well, he's so very positive, as so many of his players are positive, Ned. I asked him just before, well, I asked all the coaches today, a few of the players, were they nervous? John says, I don't have anything to be nervous about. Nobody has me fired this year before the All-Star break. Bill Buckner to lead off the Boston 4th. First ball hunting, base hit into center field. So Higuera gives up his 4th hit to a Red Sox batter, and the Red Sox have a man on.
Jim Rice.
Reaches out and gets that fastball up the middle. And he rakes it like Buckner did so many times last year, getting that outside pitch and doing something with it, not just to left field.
That's the 3rd Red Sox hit, not the 4th. Here's the left fielder, Jim Rice. He struck out in the 1st. Buckner takes off, and Rice shoots it to right field. Foul, fair ball. It looked like it hit the line. Buckner around 3rd. He will score. The throw to the plate, he will not score. What a quick job by Glenn Braggs to get that ball back into the infield on the carom off the wall. First base umpire Nick Bremigan first had signaled foul.
Ball was reached for right on the outside by Rice, who's done this so often the last couple of years. That kicks in there. The first call by Bremigan was indeed foul. Then he made fair. Buckner, on the move with a pitch anyway, tried to score, but then Brock comes in with a cutoff and throws perfectly to the plate, a little bit off that way, but they got the sliding Buckner, and a run is cut down.
Good combination of going 9-3-2 on the putout. Buckner thought he had the hand around Bill Schroeder to get the play. Here's Baylor. Low and into the dirt. Boy, you would almost could bet that was an impossible play to play that carom and get it back to Brock. And then once Brock had to get himself back under balance again and make the throw to Schroeder.
And he had to get himself off the other side of the first base side of the plate. There's the throw there, see? Reaching in, and Buckner is dead on the outside, trying to make that hand tag, sliding away.
Pitch is loaded on Baylor. 2 balls, no strikes. So Rice credited with a double. Buckner knocked down at the plate, scoring at 9-3-2. There's the straight change from Higuera, floats outside, and Baylor way up in the count now. 3 balls, no strikes. Higuera makes himself a little surprising to hitters because he has such an easy motion out of the stretch or the windup. And there's ball 4 to Baylor. So Higuera walks his first Red Sox batter.
Neil Hansen, report to the Brewer office. Neil Hansen.
And with 1 down, one more look at that throw by Brock to Bill Schroeder. That's the key to the play, the nice carom play made by Braggs. And then the relay by Brock. Tag there just before the hand got the play. Breaking ball in, strike 1 to Dwight Evans. Dwight doubled to left center after a man was out in the Red Sox 2nd inning. Milwaukee leads 1-0. We're in the top of the 4th. Higuera, like so many strong pitchers, not a particularly head-turning type of spring training. Won a game, lost a pair. Evans fouls it away. Gave up 23 hits in 21 innings of work. And the funny thing about Higuera is the fact that he walked almost as many as he struck out, and you won't see that happen during the season. Higuera walked 11 during the Brewer spring training while striking out 14. He will strike out some people. He'll be around that 200 mark before this year is over, if not over it.
Last year he was almost 3-to-1 in strikeout to walk ratio.
He'll be around the plate and knows where he wants to go when he's around the plate. Evans had to reach for that one and fouls it away. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 207 strikeouts last year for Higuera. And no other left-hander in Milwaukee baseball history, and that includes the Braves, has ever struck out that many. He jumped by Denny LeMaster's old total of 190. As a matter of fact, Higuera just 4 strikeouts shy of the entire Milwaukee record. That record held by Tony Cloninger when he struck out 211 in 1965. High fly to center field. Robin Yount dropped back, now comes in on it, and he's there. He'll put it away, and that's 2 down in the Red Sox 4th.
Casey Fitzpatrick. Report to the Brewer office. Casey Fitzpatrick to the Brewer office. Thank you. Center fielder Dave Henderson.
Red Sox runners at first and second. Here's the center fielder, Dave Henderson. Thinking for a moment whether possibly that would have been a sign put on by McNamara for the hit-and-run play with Rice and Buckner.
Well,
certainly a bit of a strange play if that were the case.
He worked Rice outside the first time that Jim came up.
On the breaking ball, it's strike 1 to Henderson. Dave fouled out to Schroeder. Back in the Red Sox second. One place you do not want to get with Higuera is the battle up in that area where Henderson took that pitch. And from Higuera, that would really be a teasing type pitch because he is so consistently from the middle of the thigh to the middle of the shin. When he throws you that ball up in that area, it looks so very hittable. And once again, he puts a little bend on it, and it's in for strike 2 to Henderson. Rice can do a little umpiring of his own now at second with a 1-2 count to Henderson. Of course, the classic matchup, and I would think of all the starters that would have been operating in opening season games today, it would have been Clemens and Higuera. Those two fellas, as I mentioned earlier, finished 1-2 in the American League in almost every department. Cy Young voting, earned run average. Jack Morris snuck in between them as far as victories are concerned. Henderson asks for time and gets it just at the last moment. A lot of wrappers and papers and dust blowing around in County Stadium this afternoon.
A lot more by the 8th or 9th inning, I would imagine.
Yes, sir. Wind strong enough today, we may even see popcorn boxes going around.
Yesterday, actually, walking in town, you could get almost any place in downtown by jumping up in the air because the wind would take you there.
Toward the middle, but Gantner is there. He'll go to Brock at first. Henderson is retired, and the Red Sox do not score in the 4th, although they had a runner knocked down at the plate. No runs on 2 hits and 2 left for the Red Sox after 3.5 innings. Make that 3.5 innings of play. It's Milwaukee 1 and Boston nothing.
With every Budweiser enjoyed, the promise endures. The promise of genuine quality. Without compromise, without fail. Beechwood aged Budweiser and Bud Light. Genuine proof that somebody still and always will care about quality. And that is a promise.
This is a specially packaged Taurus GL sedan. I know you're wondering, hey, where's the ribbon? The package is inside. Buy one with a 2.5-liter engine, power side windows, power door locks, air conditioner options you'd probably buy anyway. And we'll give you, at no extra charge, a premium sound system and a special clear coat finish. You save more than $700. Sweet deal on the Taurus GL wagon, too. But I don't have time to talk about it, so ask your Ford dealer, okay?
You're a darling, you're an angel, and I love you. But you always get me steamed somehow. You just gotta stop before I blow my top. One of these days, right in the kisser! One of these days.
The Honeymooners, weeknights at 10 and 10:30, here on TV 38.
Remember the home opener this Friday at Fenway Park, the Red Sox against the Toronto Blue Jays, and Sunday again against the Blue Jays, both games beginning at 1 o'clock over most of these stations, so check your local listings.
Red Sox third base coach Joe Morgan, I'm sure, opened himself up right here on opening day for some second guessing. Nobody out, of course. They would have had runners certainly at second and third on the play by Rice, but Buckner was set. He was nailed at the plate. Milwaukee leading 1-0 in the bottom of the fourth inning. Here's Billy Joe Robideau to lead it off. Robideau trying to have an injury-free season. And he's one of the strong boys. Pulls it foul first base way. I would imagine the Brewers would be doing some platooning throughout the course of this season, Ned. B.J. Scherhoff, the other catcher, is a left-handed hitter, and ordinarily would probably find him behind the plate. But I don't think manager Tom Trebelhorn wanted to put such a youngster in front of full 53 to 55,000 people on an opening day and say, here's the pressure, see what you can do with it. Spike Owen is there at short to take the line drive off the bat of Robideau, one down.
Scherhoff is a big name around here as a can't-miss kind of player, as the best athlete that they drafted a couple of years ago. And they feel sure that he is going to be more than ample as a major leaguer behind the plate.
Andy Etchebarren, very fond of his work throughout the course of spring training. This is very quick behind the plate. And he's a base stealer. He stole over 20 bases last year. Rob Deere, shot to right field. Evans over to make the line drive catch. So Rob Deere out for number 2 here in the fourth inning. And Stanley working at a pretty good clip other than the 3 hits that he gave up in that second inning. He's retired the Brewers in order in the third and on his way to doing it here in the fourth inning. Milwaukee leads 1-0. Here's the catcher, Bill Schroeder.
A lot of the Brewers have been offering at the first pitch from Stanley throughout the afternoon. Yount did it. And so did Deere.
Infielders are busy one more time for Owen. He'll throw out Schroeder. And Stanley now has retired 7 Brewer hitters in a row. We'll go to the 5th inning in this 1987 opener with the Red Sox trailing Milwaukee 1-0.
Back to our game. Kids, what's the molecular weight of glutamic acid?
147 Daltons.
Wilson had it. In Haydn's Symphony number 11,
B-flat.
to the tiebreaker. The 9X Yellow Pages has always had more information than any competing directory. Why would anyone need another? Kids?
The 9X Yellow Pages. It's the one you've always had. It's the only one you need.
Weeknights on Barney Miller. It's the best laughs lineup in town.
I want that man in jail, and I'm not afraid of reprisal.
Oh, who would want to reprise you?
When can I get out of here? My time is valuable.
As is ours.
Not like hers.
Very well put.
What's wrong with a gay cop? There are gay robbers.
My very word.
Watch Barney Miller weeknights at 7:30 here on TV 38.
If someone had come up to me and said, you have a drug problem and that's all there is to it and your life is screwed up because of drugs, I would have said, give me a break. But when I was sat down in a group of kids who were, you know, all between the ages of 15 and 19 and they were all talking about how drugs screwed up their lives, I had to stop and say, wait a minute. And when my head cleared and I realized that I had done over 15 different drugs and experimented with, you know, with some really potent, deadly chemicals, I was just like, my God, what am I doing to myself?
Just a reminder, fans, that tickets for Red Sox home games are on sale at the Red Sox ticket office at 4 Yawkey Way at Fenway. You can stop by Monday through Friday. They're open 9 to 5. And on Saturdays, they're open from 9:30 to 2. Order tickets by phone. Call 267-1700 and charge your tickets to any major credit card. Milwaukee leading 1-0 as we move along to the 5th inning. Mr. Martin.
Okay, Marty, here's Mark Sullivan up. Went down on strikes in the 2nd inning, caught looking. And Higuera starts him off with a breaking pitch. Strike 1. Higuera has fanned 2. He's walked 1. And has given up 4 hits. Sullivan into the hole in the left field, base hit. So Sullivan chips in with his first hit of the season, lining it between 3rd and short. And the Red Sox have the lead man on.
Shortstop, Swaim.
I think if Sully stays somewhat aggressive at the plate, I think he's going to get his share of the base hits. Sometimes he's a little reluctant to pull the trigger. That was one of the big drawbacks that he had as a minor league player. It took an awful lot of pitches, took a lot of called third strikes, and his first time up today was the same situation. That time he seemed to be a little more aggressive at the plate. You see where he is. It's a definite payoff there.
Spike Owen grounded to short in the 3rd inning. Everybody expecting the bunt. The Wings charge, and it's ball 1. Brock coming in from first base. Molitor from 3rd. Red Sox trailing at 1-0 in a game this way against a pitcher like Higuera. You do play for 1 run.
You bet you do. One thing you can't do, though, Ned, is as Owen stands in there, whether the sacrifice is on or whether it isn't, if they're going to charge those people from the corners and then have Higuera come up the middle, with a runner like Mark Sullivan on first, you can't bunt him to second. I don't care what kind of bunt you make. So Owen can't let those people charge him that way. Swing away, keep him a bit honest.
He bunts it up in the air, and they will play it down to first base for an out there and have trapped Sullivan for an out there. The ball was trapped, and it's a double play. So right at the feet of Greg Brock, making the play that way. A smart play it was. They got the safe man there. Sullivan, they had all day to work on him.
Bat back behind the plate, rather out in front. The ball's popped up, and a great play by Brock. Lets that ball bounce. He's got it. Now he takes the play on Owen first because Sully's already going back to the bag. Gantner now in the rundown. He'll quickly flip on to Swaim, who comes in, and Mark just simply has nowhere to go.
Wade Boggs is up. Strike. Double play by the Brewers. Their first. Going 3-4-6. Boggs to second baseman Jim Gantner. All of a sudden, a very quick inning for Higuera. And the Red Sox get a hit, but leave nobody. And through 4 1/2, it is still Milwaukee 1 and the Red Sox nothing.
Bud Thunder. It's revved up and coming at you.
Imagine waking up to find everything just as good as it can be. Imagine having nothing but the best to look forward to.
Skies should be sunny for the rest of the century.
Now imagine the remarkable new Prius, imported by Mitsubishi, with front-wheel drive, an independent suspension, and the pure enjoyment of over 60 standard features, all for just over $5,000. The new Prius. Now that it's here, maybe everything else will fall into place. The new Prius, imported by Mitsubishi.
Weeknights on MASH.
I've been a practicing surgeon for 12 years.
When do you think you'll be ready to operate? Major Houlihan's father was under General MacArthur in the cavalry. Her father was a horse. Did you know that?
This used to be such a good neighborhood.
Stick it in your galoshes, head nose.
You don't exactly look like Clark Gable.
Will Rogers never met you, did he?
You are 10 of the most boring people I know.
I've been so insulted in my life.
God knows I've tried.
That's what I like to hear.
An open-door policy for laughs on MASH. Weeknights at 7 and 11 here on TV 38.
Bottom of the fifth inning, Milwaukee leading 1-0. They got the run right at the outset of their offense. A leadoff triple by Molitor in the first. He scored on a single by Yount, and that's the way it has stood. Each team has had opportunities to score more. The Brewers had 3 hits in the second, could not score. There was a double play involved. And the Red Sox just got doubled off here in the fifth inning. And they also had 2 hits and a walk in the fourth and did not score. They had a run knocked down at the plate. Jim Gantner against Bob Stanley. Base hit left field. The second Gantner hit to the opposite field. So the man can play, Jim Gantner.
This time the breaking ball stays outside on the outside part of the plate. It's almost like the soft changeup that Gantner delivered to left field his first time up. He just finds a lot of room in that gap on the shortstop third base side and drills it through there.
Dale Swaim, the number 9 hitter, up. Swaim looped a single to right field his first time. And tries to bunt the offering down toward third, and it's a strike. Boggs had come in on the grass. Both teams playing very close to the vest, except for the play on which Buckner was nailed at the plate on an off-field double by Jim Rice, with Buckner in motion from first to second. Runner takes off, hits slowly to second base, and because the runner was taking off, that's all they can get. Barrett over to first for the out on Swaim, who did a nice job of just kind of protecting the runner by grounding softly to second base. Gantner to second.
From the looks of the stats of the Milwaukee Brewers during spring training, Trebelhorn has the idea that they would like to do a lot of running. They stole 21 bases, 26 bases, got caught 21 times, and with the amount of times that Swaim swings and misses, because he strikes out about once every 3 times, at least he did during spring training, it's kind of a risky play there at this point in the ball game, but it turned out for them. They make an out, move a runner.
Molitor up. First ball hitting. Again, down into shallow right field for Evans. There are 2 out. Paul Molitor, now 1 for 3, had the triple and the run scored in the first inning. Robin Yount has been up and swinging on every pitch so far, just about. Single to center field on the first pitch to him in the first. Fouled the first pitch in the third, then flied to left. So he swung at everything, offered it. Final score, Toronto 7 and Cleveland 3 at Toronto. A win for the Blue Jays, beating the Cleveland Indians, who many are picking as kind of not exactly a real dark horse, but a legitimate contender in the American League East this year. They jumped on knuckleballer Tom Candiotti, and they jumped on him early with home runs. 1 ball, no strikes to Yount. Finally takes a pitch. left center field. That's going to be trouble. To the gap and a run. Robin Yount does it again, this time doubling the left center field to drive in the second Milwaukee run. It's 2-0.
Well, I would question whether you challenge Robin Yount here hitting in this situation with first base open. You've still got a fairly young man, although he's a strong man, in Braggs following Yount. Obviously not a good move, not a lot of movement on that Stanley pitch. It didn't sink. It just ran right back into a very strong hitting position for Yount, and he did not miss it. Gantner scores easily from second.
Robin seldom does miss on a pitch like that. He's at second base, 2 outs. Braggs the hitter, and a strike. So Bob Stanley cannot nail down that third out and prevent a run from scoring. The Brewers now with a, well, the later it gets, and the way Higuera is pitching, a pretty good lead of 2-0 right at this point. 7 hits for the Brewers, 5 for Boston. Braggs, who has grounded out twice, once into a double play, now has the count 0-2. Stanley got him to ground to Marty Barrett 2 times.
Make an out, move a base runner. That's what the Milwaukee Brewers did in this inning so far, and it's turned out to be productive for them.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
One thing that made the Red Sox so very successful last year, that very thing.
Moving them up and making the out count.
Red Sox batting order did not strike out that much, had a lot of base on balls. You make contact, sometimes that ball will find a lot of holes, and going the opposite way for a lot of hitters helped that last year.
It's foul of third. 1 ball, 2 strikes. A lot of folks here now. Right at the start of the game, it didn't look as that way, but they had been tailgating since 9 or 10 o'clock. It's not a bang out sellout, but they expect upwards of 50,000. One ball, 2 strikes to Braggs. And past the dive of Owen for the base hit. Yount will score. 3-0 Milwaukee. Hard single to center by Glenn Braggs.
Braggs with a very, very long swing. One thing that may hurt him a little later on in his career, even this year. But boy, does he ever play Powder River with that pitch. Same pitch that Yount hit up the gap in the left center field. The ball is not sinking for Stanley. It's simply running. It's staying just about on the same level. And that's a little bit easier for hitters to keep their eye on and make the contact with it. They do not have to go down and get it, and the ball can be hit harder rather than driven into the ground.
So the Brewers fashion a 3-0 lead here with 2 runs in the 5th. Greg Brock is the hitter. Walked in the 1st and grounded out in the 3rd. Three runs and 8 hits for the Brewers. Red Sox have activity in the bullpen. Steve Crawford out in the right center field. Back-to-back bullpens, actually side-by-side bullpens out there under the big scoreboard. Brock with a foul. The bat goes back and the ball goes into the dugout area and over it. A ball and a strike. There's Shag, Steve Crawford, first man out of the chute in the bullpen for McNamara this season. Warming with Stanley in a little jam here, having given up 2 runs in the 5th inning and still pitching. The jackknife by Brock. 2 balls, 1 strike. Teams are off tomorrow, and they play Wednesday evening. Game at 7 o'clock New England time. Kind of almost a twilight, right on the break point between a twilight and a night game, 6 o'clock here. Then they play on Thursday afternoon and come home. Al Nipper against Bill Wegman on Wednesday, and Jeff Sellers against Mike Burbick on Thursday afternoon. Count on Brock is 3 balls, 1 strike. Runner takes off and is 3-2 now. Two down. Brock the hitter and Braggs running at first base. 2 runs in, 3-0 Milwaukee. And a foul. So Braggs comes back. Ground ball, Buckner can't handle it. The ball's back of him, can't find it. And runners are at first and third. Hard shot to Buckner off his glove. Brewers are at first and third, still with 2 outs.
Another rocket by Brock. The last time up, he rocketed one toward Barrett at second. This time, the ball comes up on Buckner. Hit so very hard, Buck cannot find it. And by the time Barrett can get to it and recover, everybody's going to be safe. Braggs over to third.
John McNamara coming out to the mound. Bob Stanley being hit often here in this inning. That went as a base hit for Brock. Crawford has been throwing in the bullpen, and that's going to be it. So Stanley leaves the game with the score 3-0 Milwaukee. We're in the 5th inning. You're watching Red Sox baseball from County Stadium in Milwaukee. Season, and here it is. Way back, left center, and gone. Home run. A new record. Clemens has set him. A high pop-up. This may do it. Buckner is there. It's all over. The Red Sox are the new division champions.
The celebration continues. Call your cable company today.
Don't you want to hear the rumor?
How do you people get the Christmas spirit when it's 80 degrees outside?
That's enough, Mr. Crawford.
I hear we got a scandal going on at the old Trib.
I told you to pick a company to investigate sexual harassment. I didn't mean this one.
No, sir, Jack. This is our baby.
Lou, there's more here than meets the eye. Something stinks.
Can I use your office to scream in?
Just because my name is Donovan does not make me the staff expert on the Irish problem.
Nothing to do but quit.
Lou Grant is the best news in town. Weeknights at 5 on TV 38.
Hi, I'm Johnny Pesky. Fenway Park holds great memories for both me and baseball fans throughout New England. On April 20th, we're officially celebrating the 75th anniversary of Fenway. Each fan attending the Red Sox game that day will receive a colorful folder depicting the 75-year history of Fenway and the Red Sox. So come out to Fenway Park on Patriots Day, April 20th, see the Red Sox take on the Kansas City Royals, and receive your anniversary folder sponsored by Chevrolet.
Before we take a closer look at reliever Steve Crawford, we'll pause here for station identification. This is the TV 38 Red Sox Network.
This is TV 38, WSBK TV, Boston.
John McNamara to the bullpen here in the 5th inning. He brought Steve Crawford out for Shag. 9 appearances during the spring season. in those 9 appearances, worked 15 in the 3rd innings, giving up 17 hits, worked to a 1-1 record. One thing that Crawford does want to stay away from this year is any kind of problems. Last year hampered by some shoulder problems, some elbow problems. Later on was working part of the season on a rehabilitation program at Pawtucket. Wound up the season with Boston. No wins and 2 losses. Had 4 saves. That all amassed. Those numbers coming from 40 appearances for John McNamara and the American League champions. He did not have any starts, all those appearances as a reliever.
So it's Crawford in, still 2 outs in the 5th inning. Brewers leading 3-0. And the first ball hit is knocked down by Barrett over to Owen for the force out finally, and they get him out as Crawford's first pitch is hit by Robideau right to Marty Barrett. Barrett busy with 7 assists in this game so far. 2 runs crossed for the Brewers, though, and after 5 they lead by a score of 3-0.
If you just ask for a light beer,
give me a light.
You never know what you'll get.
Bud Light.
Nice shot.
Heads up.
So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, ask for Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
If we're talking an import, what counts to you?
The financing.
For a limited time, get 3-7 financing or up to $500 cash back on all Dodge imports in stock. 3-7 or $300 on Colt Vista. 3-7 or $300 on Colt E, DL, and Premier. 3-7 or $500 on Ram 50 pickups. And 3-7 or $500 cash back on Dodge Raider. Plus, you can still save up to $434 with special discount packages on selected Colts.
We know what counts.
Dodge, setting new standards of performance.
Ralph brags that he knows Jackie Gleason, and now all he's got to do is get him to perform at the Raccoon Lodge on the Honeymooners. That's tonight at 10 and 10:30 right here on WSBK TV 38.
Remember, it's about time to pick up your 1987 copy of the Red Sox Media Guide. Facts and figures about the 87 Red Sox, as well as last year's championship season. To order by mail, send $5 with your name and address to Red Sox Media Guide, Yawkey Way, Boston, Mass. 02215. Top of the 6th, Red Sox down by 3. And having to do something against the left-hander Teddy Higuera, who has breezed pretty well, been in only a couple of moments of trouble and gotten out of it. 3-9-0 for Milwaukee, 0-5-0 for the Red Sox as Marty Barrett stands in. Outside and low to Barrett, who's 0 for 2. He popped to second and lined to third. Breaks it to shortstop. Backhanded there by Swaim. He's got it. Marty Barrett grounding to short, 1 out.
I would say that Swaim so far in this ballgame has handled himself nicely. He's in really a replacement for Riles, who is going to be out for probably till the All-Star break. I don't know if Riles can get his job back from what we're seeing today. Swaim very smooth. Also shown some very accurate throws today across to Greg Brock.
Shown that he can go to his backhand at shortstop and right himself to make the play from deep. Bill Buckner is 1 for 2. And the breaking pitch, ball 1. Buckner fouled to third in the first inning. Then he singled in the 4th. And he was on the move when Rice doubled down the line in the 4th inning, but was thrown out on a relay to the plate trying to make home. And the run cut down that way. Goes for the up and in pitch, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Outfield straight away on Buckner.
The Brewers, unlike the Red Sox, are all solid and healthy. That is the people that they have active. They have 3 members on the disabled list.
Including Cecil Cooper.
Ernest Riles that I just mentioned, and a young shortstop infielder type by the name of Edgar Diaz. Red Sox, on the other hand, have some aggravating type of injuries. Of course, Buckner still hobbled a bit. Barrett with that right elbow still bothering him. Dave Henderson still icing the right shoulder.
Buckner goes to the off-speed pitch and lifts it toward third. Molitor with it for the out. 2 down. Of course, the Red Sox got down to their 24-man roster with the addition of Clemens and the subtraction of Oil Can Boyd, who's on the 15-day disabled list. Retroactive, and would be officially ready to come back on it next week.
Monday, I think.
Monday,
He was put on the disabled list on the 29th of April.
2 down in the Red Sox 6th inning. Jim Rice up. Fastball by Higuera, ball 1.
Speaking of next Monday, too, you might want to let people know that the Texas Rangers will be in Fenway Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That's a pretty good ball club there. There's seats available.
Rice has the count 2-0. The New York Yankees and Detroit Tigers are tied 1-1 in the 8th inning at Detroit. Jack Morris on the mound for the Tigers, of course. Against the Tigers, were behind 1-0. Now are tied up in what must be a beauty there before a bunch of folks at Tiger Stadium. It's 2-1 to Rice. Right at the knees for strike 2. 2-2 to Jim. He called out on strikes in the first, and then he hit that off-field double down the line when Buckner was thrown out at the plate. Wicked pitch, but low. Ball 3. 3-2. Brewers ahead 3-0. Red Sox batting in the 6th. Sliced foul off to the right side. Count of 3-2. Wind continues to blow toward right and right center, sometimes switching around, variable, and a factor in the game. Strike 3. Rice going for an off-speed pitch, and Higuera has a 1-2-3 inning. After 5.5, Milwaukee 3, the Red Sox nothing.
The game is on TV 38. The game is on TV 38. I'm moving ahead, reaching for more. I'm doing my best, that's what I'm here for. I'm working real hard and I'm having some fun. I'm carrying a car that's #1. I've got my baby and car, it keeps getting better. I've got my baby and car, it's getting better and better. Better and better, yeah! The game is on TV 38.
Bob's a welder. Carl teaches school. Larry cuts hair. Tim cuts lumber. And they come together 2 days a month and 2 weeks a year. They're a tank crew in the Army National Guard, and America needs more teams like them. Join Americans at their best. Call toll-free or see a local recruiter.
Into the bottom of the 6th inning we go. Rob Deere will be first up as Steve Crawford goes into his first full inning of relief. The Brewers leading 3-0, out hitting the Red Sox 9-5. Deere has had an infield hit and line to right. Again, first ball searching. It's strike 1 this time. Bob Stanley started, went 4 2/3 innings, gave up 9 hits and 3 runs, all earned. Walked 1, had no strikeouts, and got into the deepest trouble in the 5th inning when he had to leave. Crawford finds that outside corner, and it's 2 strikes, 0-2. Got him. Stayed right on that outside corner on Rob Deere, and he is called out on strikes. So Crawford registers the first K for a Red Sox pitcher today.
Mr. Crawford kind of crosses Deere up. I think Deere may be looking for something breaking in this situation. Boy, did that ball have a good part of the strike zone.
And a tail right at that outside corner. The first out in the Milwaukee sixth. Bill Schroeder up. He goes for the first pitch, lining to left field, base hit. Going to the wall. Rice recovers. Schroeder to second base. Here comes the throw. Not in time. Double. Schroeder, who twice had grounded to short previously, once into a double play, goes right after Crawford's first pitch.
You hit the nail on the head earlier, Ned, is most of these Milwaukee batters are going for the first pitch. It all starts, I guess, from Molitor, because he is certainly a first ball hitter. And are they Brewers ever aggressive? In this particular ball game, certainly. They're putting the ball in play and early in the count, too. They haven't been many long counts for Boston pitchers. The Brewer hitters are not giving them an opportunity. Stanley had one. They had 2-3-2 counts. That was it.
Here is Gantner. Runner at second base, one out. Gantner's perfect with two off-field singles. Ball one. Singled to left and got as far as third base in the second inning. Then he singled to left and scored in the fifth. Brewers now have 10 hits in this game. Gantner gets his third hit up the middle. Charged by Henderson. Schroeder to the plate. Henderson's throw is not in time. Run scores. Gantner goes to second. 4-0. Jim Gantner doing a number on the Red Sox this game. He's got 3 for 3.
And picks up his first RBI of the 1987 season. He has been right on every pitch from a Red Sox pitcher. Twice to left field. Now this one up the middle. The ball tails on the throw. It's by Buckner. Wouldn't have made any difference there. They have no play on the runner at the plate as the Brewers come up with their fourth run in this ball game. And on this play, Gantner heads up base running, winds up at second.
Gets the single and takes it on the throw. There's another first ball offering by the next hitter, Dale Swaim. Swaim going right after the pitch by Crawford and fouling it off. Swaim is 1 for 2 today. A loop single to right and a ground ball to second base. Brewers starting to put a lot of distance now, considering and given the fact that you've got Higuera pitching shutout ball. 4-0 Brewers, bottom of the sixth inning. There's a fastball for a strike. 0-2. Brewers have scattered singles and doubles all over this ballpark this afternoon. They have not had a home run. They had a triple, a leadoff triple by Molitor in the first inning, and he scored. One ball, 2 strikes. Rob Woodward now comes up to throw out in right center. Mark Clear. And another right-hander throwing in the bullpen, Bozio. 2 right-handers going for the Brewers out there, and Robbie Woodward. There's the Bozio and Clear, Mark Clear, number 25. So things not looking well for the fellows in gray right now as the Red Sox trail 4-0. A ball and 2 strikes. The count to Swaim. And missing outside, ball 2. Speed and a good one. Strikeout for Crawford, his second. Swaim jumping out in front of that, and there are 2 down now.
Good all-speed pitch. Hit the straight change. from Crawford. Not only great location with it, but delivery just about perfect.
Paul Molitor.
A few times the ball hasn't been put in play by Milwaukee hitter.
Molitor has had a triple in 3 times up. He has scored a run. Kind of set the stage for everything by getting on early and scoring early. They got a run on the first, 2 in the 5th, and they have scored 1 off Crawford here in the 6th. Shag misses upstairs, ball 1. Red Sox hitters in the 7th will be Baylor, Evans, and Henderson, as they have done little or nothing with Teddy Higuera this afternoon. That's a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Reached for and fouled. Ball and 2 strikes. No game tomorrow. A 6 o'clock game here on Wednesday. 7 o'clock New England time. We'll be on with that one on the New England Sports Network. Then a Thursday afternoon, and the Red Sox after that game will fly home to open against Toronto on Friday afternoon at Fenway Park. Bruce Hurst will pitch the home opener. Off-field base hit to right, slicing away from Evans. A run will score. The ball gets away from Evans. Molitor rounds second and holds there. The ball gets by Barrett, backed up by Boggs. Molitor remains at second. It's 5-0 Milwaukee.
The back end of this play kind of says it the way the way this ball game is getting to be, rather sloppy. Milwaukee Brewers really taking advantage of some pretty good pitches to hit. Molitor just drills this pitch to right field as it tails right back in the middle of the plate. Easily for Gantner to score, the ball getting away from Dwight, and then it just gets away from everybody in the infield. A big turn by Molitor at second, and there's not even a chance to do anything about it.
The Brewer hitters very aggressive this afternoon, have been skidding by everybody, finally backed up by Wade Boggs way back there. So a runner at second base again. 2 outs, and Robin Yount up, taking a strike. Yount has had a fair afternoon for an opener, a single and a double in 3 trips up. He's knocked in 2 runs. RBI from Molitor, his first. And slashing away is Robin Yount. The count is 0-2. 5-0 ball game. The Brewers lead. The Brewers in this game anyway, looking like the Brewers of old in those knockdown Pier 6ers these 2 teams used to play here, scoring in the upper numbers, double figures. Ball and 2 strikes. Misses, ball 2. Texas and Baltimore in the 8th inning tied up 1-1 in a fine pitching duel between Huff and Boddicker. Yankees batting in the 9th inning and tied up with the Tigers 1-1 at Detroit. Righetti on in relief of Rasmussen for the Yankees, and Morris pitching for the Tigers all the way. 2-2. And Yount is down on strikes to end the inning. Damage done, though, as the Brewers come up with a couple of runs, and at the end of 6, they lead 5-0.
Can the Bruins upset Edmonton in overtime?
Score! The Bruins win it! Lisbon, his first goal!
Can the Bruins score twice in 18 seconds to beat Quebec? Can rookie Bill Ranford shut out powerful Philly?
And the Bruins salute Bill Ranford.
And the Bruins win the Stanley Cup. Nesson has the answer. Call your local cable company.
Should you ever drive from Paris to Dakar, we'd suggest a Mitsubishi Montero. Montero's won the Paris to Dakar rally 4 years straight, so it knows the shortcuts. But should you stay closer to home, you can still enjoy Montero's 2.6 liters, the independence of four-wheel drive, and the crafting of its civilized interior. Because you don't need a road rally to enjoy Montero, just an impulsive imagination. Mitsubishi.
Late nights on MASH.
Move over, Lieutenant.
Hawkeyes always operating.
First job I've ever had where I could use my natural talents. That's what I like to hear.
Next at 11:30, more maneuvers on Hogan's Heroes.
Where have you been all my life?
I don't go out much anymore.
Better late than ever. Hogan's Heroes at 11 and MASH at 11:30. Weeknights here on TV 38.
In other games in the National League, Cincinnati leading Montreal now 11-5. The Reds came up with 9 runs in the 4th inning. They've had home runs from Eric Davis, Terry Francona, and Barry Larkin as Mitch Webster's hit one from Montreal. The only game going right now in the National League that we have a score on. Red Sox trailing here 5-0 and work to do, Marty.
A whole lot of work to do. Higuera has been very sharp this afternoon. Red Sox, with just 5 hits, have not had a run. Don Baylor takes it up high from Higuera. Milwaukee 5, Boston nothing. 5 runs, 12 hits, no errors for the Brewers. No runs, 5 hits, no errors for Boston. Higuera into the 7th inning, as we mentioned earlier in this ball game, a very likely candidate to do that. And the old Mickey Lolich, Mike Cuellar, Louis Tiant likeness. The longer you let them go, if you don't get them by the 3rd or the 4th inning,
forget it.
Strap it down, boys. It's awful tough from the 7th inning on. Baylor fouls it back. This will be out of play. And the count is 2 balls, 2 strikes. Oh, that Higuera pitching in this ballpark at County Stadium is he just likes it here. In his career, he has won 17. He's only been defeated 7 times. Well on his way to upping that number. Baylor rips it, but foul down the left field side. Biggest play, I would say, in this ball game so far. Back in the 5th inning. Baylor high and deep to left field. Rob Deere, midway of the warning track, though, hauls it in, and Baylor's retired. 1 down. Biggest play in this ball game coming back in the 5th inning after the runner had moved along to second base on the ground out. That was Gantner. Swaim doing the honors there, hitting the ball with Gantner moving. Stanley then retired Molitor on a fly ball. Looked like it was going to just be a harmless inning, and then Yount with a double. Braggs followed that with a single. The Brewers had scored 2. And that kind of split it open, making the score 3-0 there. And then the 2 runs off Crawford has really opened it up for Higuera. No balls, a strike to Dwight Evans. He rips it towards center field, and this will be a base hit. Robin Yount over to cut it off. He'll get it back in, and Evans is 2 for 3 in this game. Hit number 6 for Boston. All sorts of people loosening up in the Red Sox bullpen. One of them is Jeff Sellers, who will start here on Thursday afternoon. One of them is Rack Slider, throwing with some extra man, I would imagine. Could be some pinch hitting possibilities coming up into this ball game. Here's Dave Henderson with 1 down and Evans at first. Dave in this ball game 0 for 2. rides high and outside. Danny Schaefer was the extra man I was speaking of in that Red Sox bullpen, loosening up with rack slider. Schaefer does have the shin guards on. Mark Sullivan is the on-deck hitter. Oh, you have the opportunity to strike in. Opportunity to catch maybe a Sachs as a pinch hitter, or possibly a Romero. Higuera with a little afterthought of a throw over to first. And a bluff then. 2 balls, 1 strike. That's the windup that Higuera gives you once in a while. And he says, oops, Valenzuela's here pitching.
That's right.
Kind of lifts everything up, looks up, straight up into the sky. And that's about the only time the windup really gets out of sync. The other times it's very smooth, very compact. Just a little different look. And there's ball 4 to Henderson. So the Red Sox, trying to put something on the board here against Higuera in the 7th, have a couple on and a man out. Manager Tom Trebelhorn making his first trip to the mound in the '87 season.
Just mainly to inform his pitcher through his catcher himself that, hey, it's all right. Get the ball over the plate, put it in play. You've got 5 runs to deal with. And now you don't have the big people of the lineup coming up yet.
Don't get yourself in trouble with those little guys and then let the big guys hurt you. Mark Sullivan steps in. High and outside from Higuera. Not as big a crowd as we anticipated in this ballpark today, Ed. The official attendance, 52,585. I'm sure that's well off any kind of record that the Brewers would have had as an opening day crowd. And
it's a little above the average that the Red Sox have drawn here in openers, but those were such miserable days.
This will curl foul and be out of play. 2 balls, 1 strike to Mark Sullivan. Higuera very busy today. As a matter of fact, none of his outfielders have had a put out. Everything into the outfield has been a base hit. One outfielder does have an assist. On the check swing, they asked Nick Brimmingham at first. He says, no swing. I'll correct that. Rob Deere has an outfield put out leading off the 7th inning. And Evans was out on a fly ball to center, so erase all that.
Not many, though.
Not many, only 2. Higuera struck out 3. He has walked 2. He's walked a man in the 4th, a man here in the 7th. Evans, the runner at second, with Henderson at first. Boston trailing 5-0. To the right side, Brock knocks it down. He'll play to Higuera covering, and Sullivan is retired. Brock almost overran that ground ball. He actually got by and had to reverse it.
Ball off to his right. He started fast for it. Finally just had to come back on it with the glove. Shoveled it into his bare hand. Quick coverage that time by Higuera. Got over there in a hurry and made that tag of the bag to get off in a hurry, too.
Here's the Red Sox shortstop, Spike Owen. Runners at second and third now. And 2 down. Spike is grounded as short and then bunted into a double play on a real heads-up play by first baseman Greg Brock, that back in inning number 5. Bounce towards shortstop Dale Swaim. He'll play on to Brock easily. And the mild threat by Boston will go by the boards. No runs on 1 hit. They left 2. And after 6.5 innings of play, Higuera and the Brewers are shutting out Boston 5-0.
It was so simple. Really, a direct electrical charge here heats up the carbonized filament here, which in turn excites the gases trapped in here, and voila!
Well, it's very nice, Thomas. But I wanted a Bud Light.
If you want the great taste of Bud Light, ask for it.
Don't feel bad, Thomas. It's not a complete loss.
Bud Light, because everything else is just a light.
Weeknights on Barney Miller.
How long you been a cop?
I was the first.
I don't think that's possible.
You know, you remind me of my first husband.
Oh, really?
He's dead now, but you look like him when he was alive, too.
If you play your cards right, you might be able to buy me a drink later.
Oh, my God.
We know that you're sharp. You're on the ball.
It's Open and Shut-Eye Cases on Barney Miller. Weeknights at 7:30 here on TV 38. The Stanley Cup playoffs. The excitement continues as the Bruins take on the defending Cup champion Montreal Canadiens.
Moves out in front. Stick handle scores. Bounces back in front. Score on the rebound. Shot. Beautiful save.
Catch all the action in game number 1 of the Adams Division semifinals. Wednesday night at 7:30 on TV 38.
The progress of Roger Clemens will be once again checked on tomorrow with the Red Sox off. Roger will be undergoing a game-type situation, and then if there is no stiffness or disorders or discomfort on his part, then the Red Sox plan to start Roger Clemens the second game in that Toronto series. That would be on Saturday afternoon at Fenway. Roger said, I'd give anything if I could pitch today.
Yeah. He says, just give me the ball. I'm ready anytime you put it in my locker.
5-0 Brewer leads. Here's Braggs. Braggs takes the strike from Crawford. Crawford into this ball game in the middle of the 5th inning. He's gone an inning and a third. And he's given up 2 runs on 3 hits. Struck out the side in the 6th inning and gave up the 2 runs. Kind of a strange inning for him. Braggs, Brock, and Robideau to hit here for the Brewers in the 7th. Al Nipper works for the Red Sox here on Wednesday against Bill Wegman. And then Jeff Sellers against Mike Birkbeck on Thursday. On the ground, Boggs in the backhand. 1 down.
Right down the line at third and hooking out toward foul ground, but passes the bag fair, and Boggs just drives with it, drifts with it, and has a nice backhand, rights himself, and makes the long throw.
Little footwork by Buckner getting into foul territory to take the throw from Boggs to retire Braggs. Here's the first baseman, Greg Brock. Brock, a strong man in this Milwaukee lineup, as we mentioned. He'll kind of complement a little power from that left side. Cecil Cooper, who we've mentioned, is on the disabled list. He's got like a strained muscle just above his left hip area. Coop does not really hit many home runs anymore. The Brewers have the power from the right side, and Rob Deere, and hopefully from Glenn Braggs. A little more from the left side. In their acquisition of Greg Brock. Brock last year 16 homers over the National League. Hit a homer about once every 20 at-bats. On the check swing, the strike is in there. 1 ball, 2 strikes. swing at that one, and he's down on strikes. So Crawford has struck out his 4th Milwaukee batter. And that's 2 down in the bottom of the 7th.
A curious inning for Steve in the 6th. He strikes out the side but gives up 2 runs.
The bases are empty for the designated hitter, Billy Joe Robideau, the only Brewer batter not to have a hit in this ball game. That's on the inside corner from Crawford, strike 1. Gantner, of course, leads the hit parade. He's 3 for 3. Molitor and Yount both with a couple of hits. Crawford quickly with Robideau on his hit. No balls, 2 strikes. One area the Brewers feel like they have improved quite a bit is with some of their young pitchers. Nieves, another year of experience as he starts the 87 season. They like him a lot. And of course the bullpen combination, the short men, really rejuvenated Mark Clear as he came over to the Brewers last year, and a young left-hander by the name of Dan Plesac.
That's a guy you really had to like the way he operated last year.
His name, I'm sure, was in many a trade talk. 2-2. Off speed. Did he hold it up? Al Clark says no swing. And it's a 3-2 count to Robideau. Ball getting loose way out into center field. Commissioner of Baseball, and well, actually all of baseball this year, of this season, being dedicated to Jackie Robinson. Ceremonies here preceding this game today. A second base bag put in with Jackie Robinson's number on it, number 42. Robideau's down on strikes. Crawford has struck out his 5th batter in the 2 innings he has worked now, a little over 2 innings. The Brewers do not score in the bottom of the 7th. We'll go to inning number 8. The Red Sox trail 5-0.
Setup. What's the setup? The girls. If you don't get back on the ball, I'm going to end up with your job, and I don't want it.
You can't believe the things these people do.
So you be careful.
Oh, look out!
I don't care. Don't let anybody in. We're poking into a murder here, and the fact that it happened 30 years ago doesn't seem to make much difference.
Lou Grant is the best news in town. Weeknights at 5 on TV 38.
When you rent a car from Avis, it comes with a lot of people who want to make sure you're satisfied. Reservation and counter people, mechanics, managers, and maintenance people. They're Avis. You may not always see them, but they're there.
And I won't stop till I'm the best, because I'm Avis.
Weeknights on Barney Miller.
How long you been a cop?
I was the first. I don't think that's possible.
You know, you remind me of my first husband.
Oh, really?
He's dead now, but you looked like him when he was alive, too.
If you play your cards right, you might be able to buy me a drink later.
Oh, my God.
They know that you're shunned. You're on the ball.
It's Open and Shut-Eye Cases on Barney Miller. Weeknights at 7:30 here on TV 38.
Here's part of that pregame ceremony we were speaking of, and this year the anniversary, the 40th anniversary of Jackie Robinson joining the Brooklyn Dodgers as the first black to play in the major leagues. And as a quotation from the commissioner, we're honoring the man for his leadership and courage in civil rights, and to make sure his contributions to baseball in our society are not forgotten. That is the idea of dedicating this season to Jackie Robinson.
Tell you what, Monty, I was a fan in those years, and I never saw, he was one of the most exciting players I ever saw on a baseball field because he made so many things happen. He was aggressive. He was great to watch.
That bag, of course, has been in use all throughout this ball game this afternoon, and this is the only game it will be used in as far as Milwaukee is concerned. It will be done in each opening day in each respective ballpark around all of baseball. New pitcher for the Brewers now. Mark Clear has come on, and what a starting job by Higuera. Mark Clear last year 5-5 for the Brewers in 59 appearances, saved 16, struck out 85 in 73 and 2/3 innings. Ned.
Rick Manning is playing right field for the Brewers, batting in the 8th spot. And Mark Clear pitching against a couple of his former teammates, going against Wade Boggs, new second baseman also. The new second baseman is Juan Castillo. And they have Manning batting in the 8th spot. And Castillo will bat in Bragg's number 3 spot. 3 balls, no strikes to Boggs. And there's a strike to Wade, who is 1 for 3. He singled in the 1st, grounded to short in the 3rd, and grounded to second base in the 5th inning. Red Sox down 5-0. Breaks it on the ground to Brock at first. Over to Clear in time. 1 down in the Red Sox 8th.
Second baseman, Marty Barrett.
Mark Clear, who had several outstanding years for the Red Sox, and then lost the track of home plate, which got him in his most trouble. Marty Barrett spills a foul off to the right side, and that's out of play. Toronto beat Cleveland today 7-3 in the opener at Toronto's Exhibition Stadium. Clear to Barrett. Right to Clear. Line drive caught by Mark at the mound for the second out. So nothing is happening much for the Red Sox, and no matter what they do, whether they hit the ball hard or not, they're not doing anything with it.
Got ripped back up the middle at Clear, but breaking ball just getting down toward the end of the bat on Barrett. Clear right there to snag it. Save himself a base hit given up.
Bill Buckner taking ball 1. 2 outs in the Red Sox 8th inning. Nothing going. They trail 5-0. They're being out hit 12-6. It's been pitching by Higuera and a sustained attack by the Brewers against Bob Stanley and Steve Crawford. A strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Al Nipper against Bill Wegman on Wednesday evening here, 6 o'clock Milwaukee time, 7 o'clock New England time. Buckner high and foul down the right field line, out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Thursday afternoon, the windup of this series will be Jeff Sellers pitching for John McNamara. Mike Burbick will go for the Brewers. That game on at 2:30 New England time, and then the Red Sox head home for the home opener against Toronto on Friday afternoon. 3 with the Blue Jays over the weekend, and then 3 with the Texas Rangers before going on the road again. Buckner to Clear, and Mark Clear is making himself a 5th infielder here. Easy inning for the big horse, and after 7 1/2, it's still the Brewers 5 and the Red Sox nothing.
This is the new Dodge Ram 50. Now, she might not notice that it's got more standard horsepower than Mazda, or a bigger standard payload than Nissan, or a larger standard cab than Toyota. But then again...
So what do you think?
Maybe she might.
Well, maybe.
The Japanese-built Dodge Ram 50. Who said good looks can't take you anywhere? Dodge import trucks.
Setting new standards of performance.
Bartender? Yeah. Give me a light.
A light?
Yeah.
Why, sure. Oh, I've got it. No, a Bud Light.
If you want the great taste of Bud Light, ask for it.
Bartender.
Yes?
Give me a... Oh, let's see. Give me a Bud Light.
Everything else is just a light.
Nice call.
Thanks.
Ask any parent. There are times when your bundle of joy can overwhelm you. All the work and little time to yourself can make you feel tied down. Sometimes it helps to have someone to talk to. And at Parental Stress, the staff is ready with a sympathetic ear. You can call them toll-free anytime at 1-800-632-8188.
That's north, south, east, or west. We're the mash that is the best. Rah, rah.
MASH, weeknights at 7 and 11 here on TV 38.
The final in Tiger Stadium, the Yankees came up with a run in the ninth to beat the Tigers 2-1. Dave Righetti getting the win over Jack Morris. So the Yankees are 1-0 in a tight, well-pitched game at Tiger Stadium. So Toronto and the Yankees have already won. The Red Sox are trailing here to Milwaukee. And Baltimore has already won. They beat Texas 2-1. In the 8th inning, Rob Deere fouling the first pitch back for strike one. Steve Crawford still on the mound for the Red Sox, who trail 5-0. Deere is 1 for 3. Infield hit in the second. Missing high, 1 ball, 1 strike. Very high, but foul down into left field and lost in the stands. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Deere. White Sox are leading Kansas City 4-2 in the 6th inning at Kansas City. George Brett is homered for the Royals. Both the teams that have won, 2 of the 3 teams that have won in the American League East today so far, Yankees and Toronto, have excellent up and down lineups. Off-speed pitch by Crawford and a strikeout, his 6th. So Crawford, although giving up 2 runs in the 6th inning against his record, has 6 strikeouts.
Well, you're going to get a lot of this from Rob Deere, but also what you get on the back end of it is about 30 to 35 home runs. So you can live with a lot of strikeouts from a hitter like Deere, because you know that some part of that offense is going to come around and he's going to hurt you. He's going to be pay dirt for you an awful lot of times.
Bill Schroeder, the catcher, stings the first one on a line to center field. Henderson back and coasting with it, makes the catch at the edge of the warning path. Ball well hit by Schroeder. Again, first ball hitting. There are 2 down.
A lot of these Brewer hitters, Ned, certainly they've been aggressive today, but a lot of them left spring training on either a hitting streak or some type of a game streak. And boy, they just brought that right on with them to the upper Midwest this afternoon.
That's the advantage of that last week in spring training. Get a batch of runs, win some ball games, and come north with it. There's another first ball. Line to Barrett at second base. And the batter, Rick Manning, is out, getting his first turn at the plate after coming on to play right field. So it's a 1-2-3 inning for Crawford. And we go to the 9th with the Brewers leading 5-0.
Imagine waking up to find everything just as good as it can be. Imagine having nothing but the best to look forward to.
Skies should be sunny for the rest of the century.
Now imagine the remarkable new Prius, imported by Mitsubishi, with front-wheel drive, an independent suspension, and the pure enjoyment of over 60 standard features, all for just over $5,000. The new Prius. Now that it's here, maybe everything else will fall into place. The new Prius, imported by Mitsubishi.
Weeknights on TV 38 at the stroke of midnight, an hour of horror in the dead of night with Alfred Hitchcock Presents. First at midnight and again at 12:30. Put an end to your day with 60 minutes of murder.
It's poison.
Blackmail, mystery, and foul deeds. Better late than ever. Alfred Hitchcock Presents, weeknights at 12 and 12:30 here on WSBK TV 38.
Hi, I'm Marty Barrett, and I want you to mark May 9th on your calendar as a day to be at Fenway Park. The California Angels will be in town for what's sure to be one of the most exciting games of the year. But did you know that all kids under 15 years old coming to that game will receive a free chunky Red Sox fielder's glove? That's right, it's free to kids under 15, and you can get yours when you enter the ballpark that day. Remember, that's Saturday, May 9th. See some great baseball when the Sox take on the California Angels and get your free chunky Red Sox fielder's gloves free. What a deal.
We move along to the 9th inning. Mark Clear working a perfect 8th inning and being really involved in, well, every way about it. He had something to do with each of the 3 outs that he worked in that 8th inning. He'll give way now, though, to left-hander and another lanky left-hander, Dan Plesac. We were just mentioning his name a moment ago. He's 6'5", 210 pounds, and he can bring it to the plate with some rush on it. Last year with the Brewers, Plesac 110, lost 7. He was in 57 games, or 51 games, all as a reliever. He saved 14 of those games. Total of 91 innings worked. He struck out 75 while walking 29. And the 1-2 punch you saw here today, or the combination of a Clear and a Plesac, I'm sure that Trebelhorn will probably use that combination all year long. If he uses one earlier, then he'll have the other one in reserve, and if one comes in and doesn't get the job done, of course, he's not reluctant to go one way or the other. One thing about Plesac, it doesn't make any difference. You wouldn't put him in a ball game just to get a left-hander out. Matters not to him. He'll work against left-handers and right-handers.
Well, he certainly did last year against the Red Sox. He appeared in 5 games against them and saved 2 of them. No wins, no losses, did not give any runs, or in 4 1/3 innings, gave up 3 hits and no runs. So it was very, very effective against Boston. Plesac from Gary, Indiana, now lives in Crown Point, Indiana. Got some size on him, all right, 6'5", 210. And will face Jim Rice as the Red Sox are down to their last call here in the 9th inning, trailing by 5 runs. Rice taking ball 1. Jim has sandwiched 2 strikeouts around a double. The closest the Red Sox coming to scoring was the Rice double, and Buckner thrown out at the plate. That's hit hard right down to second base to Castillo. Juan Castillo making the play, and Rice is gone. Don Baylor up. He has fouled out, walked, and flied fairly deep to left. The prevailing wind all afternoon has been from left to right, and sometimes right out to dead away right center and right field. Hard shot, pass short off the glove of Swaim, and Baylor has a base hit. Don hit sharply. Swaim gave it a good try, leaving his feet, but could not handle it. Even if he had been able to come up with it, no play could have been made on Baylor.
Brewers, like most other infields, will play a Baylor around the pull, and even though Swaim had pulled over a couple of steps toward the hole had short, that ball hit so very hard, Swaim could just get a piece of it.
Ball 1 out, 1 on, and Evans up. Dwight's had a good afternoon. He's been the only Red Sox player really to do much. He's had a single and a double in 3 trips. Goes right and fouls it off. He doubled to the gap in left center field in the 2nd, fly to center field in the 4th, and singled to right center in the 7th. Going back to get another bat. Evans has hit .296 lifetime against this ball club here. Hit well in this park. He had 3 homers against the Brewers last year, one of them here. And he has hit 27 home runs against Brewer pitching over the years. The average of .296 for Dwight is a lifetime in both home and away against Brewer pitching. 0-1. 0-2, fouling it right near the foot. No balls, 2 strikes.
I suppose we could call Plesac somewhat of a short armor. That arm is not fully extended as he comes up.
In tight to Dwight. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
One thing that's probably a little tough for hitters to gauge the velocity from the Plesac. When you see a pitcher throw from that short area, it's usually a little harder to pick it up because there's so much action with the arm.
Comes out of a shoulder, more or less more than going way back. In tight again to Evans, and it's a 2-ball, 2-strike count now. 1 out in the Red Sox 9th. They trail 5-0. Baylor at first base, and Evans at the plate. Way high, and now he's worked the count full 3-2. The grandstand shadow has inched its way out right behind the umpire and catcher. The only players in shadow are the first baseman, Greg Brock, and the right fielder, Rick Manning, from the first base grandstand curve. Ball 4, he will angle a walk. So Evans draws a walk, and there are 2 base runners in the 9th. Dave Henderson coming up. Henderson in this game is 0 for 2. He's fouled out, grounded out, and walked. Red Sox trailing 5-0, but now have 2 base runners in the 9th inning. So many times last year, there were situations like this, and they all of a sudden came alive with base hits and put themselves in a position to either tie or win. Of course, they're down by 5 now, and you'd have to have a thunder, a little bit of long ball thunder, or else a bunch of base hits in a row to get back in this thing at all. Ball 1 to Henderson. And that'll bring a little conversation.
Pitching coach Chuck Hartstein out to the mound.
Remember him with the Red Sox. From Austin, Texas, he had a year or 2 with Boston and was around the grounds in the National League. Pause here for a station break on the TV 38 Red Sox Network.
This is TV 38, WSBK TV, Boston.
Out in the bullpen for the Brewers, you got Chuck Krim warming up. Uh-oh, down to third it goes, over to second, and they do not turn the double play. It's thrown away by Castillo, and the Red Sox get their first run and another life. What looked to be a double play ball started by Molitor was eventually thrown away. They got the fielder's choice at second base on Evans, but Castillo, trying for the DP, threw it away. A run scored, Baylor crossing, and Henderson goes to second.
Evans, one of the toughest base runners to break up double plays, but still looked like Castillo had time here. Maybe a little inexperienced. Didn't let him get himself out of the way to make the good, strong throw. Maybe worried a little bit about Evans getting on him. The throw to the outfield side. Brock over at first by Brock and carrying him off the photographer's dugout over there and into the Milwaukee dugout.
Throwing error by Castillo, allowing the run. Mark Sullivan up and bangs it towards center field. Coming on and making the catch to end the ball game is Robin Yount. That ball appeared to be ready to sink in there for a hit, but Yount stayed with it. And that is it for the Red Sox in the 9th. They get a run unearned on a base hit. There was an error. Final score, the Brewers lead, winning it by the score of 5-1. We'll wrap it up in a moment.
Every 34 seconds, somebody buys a new Chevy Cavalier.